this one is easier. Hello, good afternoon. Let me see if let me know, people, guys, in the comments, if you can see us. Wait a second. Okay, so I'm so happy to be here. Sorry for the delay. We were I had some kind of, technical issues, but everything is perfect now. So we are here. If you're listening to us, let me know. That would be great. And today I have Claudia here with me. It is so nice to have you. I mean, we studied together like many years ago, and it is amazing that we can, join and talk about learning. Because as you know, we are teachers. We studied to be teachers, but before that, we were English learners. So we are still English learners, of course. So it's like we have all this perspective of being a language learner, but also being an English teacher. So it is amazing to have you. So, Claudia, thank you. Welcome. And I don't know, tell us a little about you.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. Yeah, that's right. We studied together um, long time ago. And like you said, we have the experience from both sides, students and teachers.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes our students forget that we studied to be teachers, and sometimes they
Yes.
forget that we were in that place. But yes, we have both experiences, and it's
Mm-hmm.
nice that we can share and we can tell people about these things, maybe the difficulties they may have, and what can they do to overcome those difficulties.
Right.
Um, like you said, yes, I have been a teacher for a long time now, more than 10 years,
Mm-hmm.
maybe 12. I don't know. I haven't done the count,
But
but
it's a lot, at least more than 10.
yes, more than 10. I have worked with different institutions, different schools, institute, universities, many things. Also, I graduated from university 2016, 17, and also I got my CELTA diploma 2017. My last official, or yes, more my longer job was the British Council. I was a teacher there for 2 3 years, and now I'm working on my project called Semant, which is also about languages, not only English. And we use like a more VIP focus. The classes are more like detail or not detail
Mm-hmm.
or specific for students. And we are developing these projects. It's an ongoing project, and we have been working on that for like 2 years. Um, it's good. It's nice that we can share these all these. We put all these experience in the projects that we are making.
Yes. Now, what about the beginnings? Because obviously, when we started working and we started teaching, we already, knew English, right? But well, what about the beginnings? I mean, how did you learn English? How was your learning process? What did you do? What were your challenges when learning? Your personal challenges when you were learning English?
Well, this is something that I tell my students, and they don't usually like it, or they feel that I'm being arrogant, but it's the truth. To me, it was very easy because I found something that I liked, and it was in English, and
Mm-hmm.
that was video games. And it's something that started me or introduced me to the language. And after that, it became very natural. Everything I watched, everything I read, everything I listened to was in English. So I didn't have like a difficulty like many people have like these big problems learning English. In my case, it was like a natural experience. But I usually say it, and some people think that I'm being arrogant, but I'm not. It's the reality. And from my experience, maybe you remember this in the university. Many people have similar experiences. People started
Mm-hmm.
with music or with movies, with TV shows, and after that they continue learning the language, and well, they decided to become teachers. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but of course, I mean, we find difficulties, especially when you study to be a teacher. We find many difficulties because the expectations for teachers is very high. We're
Yes.
supposed to know everything.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, that's impossible. But well, sometimes students forget that we're humans, and that's one of the
Absolutely.
things that are difficult for teachers. Like we cannot know everything. We
Yeah,
try,
we
but
don't know everything in our native language either, so it is the same.
exactly, it's the same for everybody. And one of the things that as a student I can tell you is difficult because I was in that position and I have seen many of my students in that position too. Is the materials that you use to learn. Like I told you, in my case, it was easy because I had something that I liked. But when we
Yes.
teach, usually or in an institution or schools, you have to use a book or usually like printed materials. And usually
Yes.
these materials are not in sync with students or are not like there are things that you don't like from that material, maybe the topics,
Mm-hmm.
maybe the activities. And these are things that are challenging for students, especially the ones that are not like convinced to learn or that are not motivated enough. And these are things that make people forget it. I'm not going to study anymore. I hate this book.
Yes.
I don't know if you remember at the university we had this very old book that we
Yes.
we
Um, head, look ahead.
took ahead and we call it
And
look
we
behind.
look behind because it was really old. Yeah, I
Exactly.
remember.
And it happens a lot in the courses that we teach or we have taught, and we have this very old because the books become old fashioned very quickly. They become outdated very quickly.
Yes.
The topics are like 1 year and that's it. We move on with other topics. And
Mm-hmm.
this is something that students see in the books. Like this, they open the book and they see this all, especially like in the technology topics.
Yes.
There's all big phones. They see the VHA tapes. They see cassettes. They see CD
Yes.
players. And it's something
I
that students are they don't feel
yeah,
connected to that.
I remember I was teaching, I think it was at the UCV, and they have some books at the UCV they give you so you can teach. The UCV, it's a university in our country. So I was teaching these guys, and one of the exercises in the book was about, I don't know, cassettes, something about cassettes. And they were teenagers, they were in the first semester. And one of the students were like, "What is that?" And I was like, "What? I mean, really? You haven't seen?" And he was like, "I mean, I have seen that in, movies and things like that, but I have never had a cassette in my hands." And I was
Yeah,
like, "Oh my God."
yeah, totally. Especially with teenagers, very
Yes.
it happens a lot, and you don't connect with them, and sometimes it's difficult to make that connection when you have
Mm-hmm.
those materials.
Exactly.
Um, that's one of the things that make people or students they not continue any courses, any
Yes.
classes. So that's why teachers we try to or we should look for alternatives. Don't stick too
Mm-hmm.
much to the book or try to adapt it to make it more
Yes.
relatable. Um, yes, make it better for a student. Make something that they can actually connect to.
Yes.
Yeah, and students, well, if you have a teacher that doesn't change the book, well, as a student, if you want to continue, well, you should try to look for ways
Mm-hmm.
to, try to learn from that at least. Uh, you can see it
Yes.
as something fun, like from the past. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. You can see it as something from a museum or something like that. But it's something that you
Exactly.
should do as a student.
This is why, sorry for interrupting, this is why I always talk about independent learning. I mean, if you don't feel comfortable with what you're learning or what the teacher is giving you or the institution or whatever, DIY, like do it yourself. Try to
Yeah,
find things that work for you because being an independent learner gives you the ability and the capacity to learn whatever you care about, whatever is interesting and important to you. So,
yeah, definitely. Yes, because many students think that the it's only about the class. Like the teacher talks, the
Yes.
teacher says, and blah blah, and that's it. But no,
Mm-hmm.
the idea is that well, they should be part of the process. So if they don't like the material, well,
Mm-hmm.
they should say something to the teacher.
Yes.
And well, if sometimes it's like impossible because these courses are usually constructed around that material. So
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it's the teachers are not in the, they don't have the flexibility to change. That's
Yes.
why in that situation, the student must, like you said, do it themselves, looks all the things that may be interesting to them.
Absolutely. Let me, before we move on with the next one that you have, let me read a little bit because I have a WhatsApp group for our membership and I asked them these questions. Okay, so I'm going to read some of their answers and then we can kind of comment on that. So I asked them that question like, what are your challenges when learning English? Because they are in this learning process too. So, okay, one of them said, how to switch my actual local language into English habits. So, it's like, how can they use English on a daily basis, right?
Okay.
Another says, remember grammar and not being distracted, not being distracted when I'm learning. Okay, so it's about making English a habit, it's about remembering grammar rules, it's about not getting distracted when you're studying. Okay, let me see. There's another here. Give me a second. My biggest challenge when I'm learning English is to use the correct conjugation of the verbs when I'm speaking. My brain stops and I always forget it. And another one is improving my listening skills. Okay, so those are the challenges that they face. Awesome. Okay.
All right.
Sunil, I don't know, Claudio, if you can see the chat. I
Yeah,
think you have to. Okay.
I see the comments.
So, yes, Sunil, so nice to have you. Jorge, what is Claudia doing? Teacher? Yes, we're teachers.
Yeah.
English teachers. Amazing English teachers, by the way. Okay, so we have Sunil, Jorge. Thank you so much for being here. Aline, so nice to have you. Okay, guys, you can share your challenges with us. Okay, and if you have any questions, maybe we can help you out. So, what would you say? We're going to talk about advices, suggestions at the end. Okay, so I'm going to read their challenges again, and we're going to give them some suggestions at the end. Okay, so what else, Claudio, do you think is challenging for us when we're learning languages?
Well, the ones that you mentioned were very specific, like very specific student, like grammar, vocabulary. Those are like
Mm-hmm.
um, very specific for an English student course, or a student in
Mm-hmm.
an English course. Yes, those are like the more specific ones.
Yeah.
Um, the ones that I mentioned was like general one, like the materials.
Mm-hmm.
Um, other thing that I had in my experience from as a student and as a teacher is the the use of the native language in the class, either from
Yes.
the teacher or from the student.
Uh-huh.
Um, this is a challenge for teachers. Is a challenge because you want them to to practice the language you're
Mm-hmm.
teaching. In this case, English.
Mm-hmm.
And for students, it's a challenge because they need to to cross the barrier from their native language to the language
Yes.
they're learning. And
Mm-hmm.
if they don't do that, I mean, if the teacher doesn't do it, and the student doesn't do it, it
Mm-hmm.
creates people start getting frustrated, and
Absolutely.
some people will probably they don't work, won't like the course or won't like the class, or maybe they would even say that the teacher doesn't work because speaks
Mm-hmm.
Spanish or speaks the native language in class, and that's a problem that many people have and teachers have,
Yes.
and sometimes
Yes.
it's difficult to control. Sometimes I'm like the annoying teacher telling the students like in English, in English, in English. Sometimes people don't like it, but you know, it depends. it depends on the teacher. It depends on the methodology. But the idea
Mm-hmm.
is that we'll try to speak more in the language you're learning, even though it's difficult. Try to do it more
Okay.
in that language. That's one of the things
Yes.
the students can do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I agree. I absolutely agree. And sometimes they ask you, like, oh, can you speak Spanish? I don't understand, blah, blah, blah. But I mean, you gotta get used to it, you know? It's like there are no options. You gotta get used to practicing, and you gotta get used to the language and the sounds and intonation and everything. And listening to Spanish or using your native language is not the best way to do so, right?
exactly.
You need to challenge yourself. I mean, we're not saying that it's easy, all right? For I mean, even, and I suppose, Claudio, I mean, you say that it was easy because you found something that you liked. But even though it was an easier process to you, I suppose that communicating was not that easy, because when you learn vocabulary and I mean, when you receive a lot of input, you know a lot, but then when you have to speak, it's different. It's like I know and everything is here in my mind, but I'm not able to express my ideas. So we know it is difficult, but we have to do it. I mean, if you don't speak, you're not improving, right?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. That's another challenge. the,
Mm-hmm.
the the things that you have in your mind, how to express them, either with words or writing.
Mm-hmm.
It's difficult. It's difficult. But again, it depends. Many people see it like maybe you know this. The theory is that when you learn another language, you
Mm-hmm.
become another person.
Yes.
This is something that many people don't realize that that's an advantage. I mean, if you are, for example,
Yes.
shy, which is happening to
Mm-hmm.
me, I'm usually like, oh, I was, or I'm still am shy in your native language. When you learn the second language, you can be extroverted, you can be more
Yeah.
outgoing or less shy, and that's something that some people don't realize. This, but it's an advantage that we have as learning languages, and it's
Mm-hmm.
something that students can do, like try to make the switch. Like, hey, this is another
Yes.
language. I can do other things. I can think differently. I can use
Mm-hmm.
other words. I can use other expressions. I can be like another person.
Yes.
It's like being an actor. So you kind of become this other persona when you
Mm-hmm.
speak in the second or the third language, and that's
Mm-hmm.
something you can do if you don't know, if you feel like you don't like speaking too much, or you
Yes.
maybe you are afraid to speak with others.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that helped me. Like try to think like you are a different guy, a different person, a person that doesn't is not afraid to speak that much.
Yes. I like that one. I like that one.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
something that happens.
Mm-hmm. Josue says, from my perspective, the challenge is about how to improve once I am talking on my daily life. Yeah, using it daily, you know? And this is why there are, I mean, you have to look for opportunities. But in my case, this is why I created the Free Speaking Club. And this is why we have a WhatsApp group, because the idea is that you can, because we're not in an English, if you're not in an English speaking country, you're not going to have opportunities to practice every day 24/7. So you need to create your own environment, and you need to surround yourself with people who are willing to practice, who are willing to take some minutes during the day to ask, to answer, to share a video. That is the connection that we need. That's the people we have to surround ourselves with.
Yeah, and sometimes it happens that you don't find a partner to practice with. That's something that I did, but it depends on the person. You
Mm-hmm.
talk to yourself in your mind. I know it sounds crazy.
Mm-hmm.
It's something you can do by yourself. Like in your mind, you create like a conversation.
Yes.
Start thinking about a story, but in English or in the language you're learning. And it's
Mm-hmm.
a it's a very good practice because you do it. Um, it's a mental process, and it's something that you
Absolutely.
do in your native language. It's something you can do in
Mm-hmm.
English. Think about like a story, um, not like a conversation because that sounds like too crazy, right? But something that
Yes.
you can do on your own if you don't have somebody to do it. Well, you have to practice. How do you do it? Well, think
Mm-hmm.
about it in English or in the language you're learning. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Now we have the advantages of using technology, many
Absolutely.
applications. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you can talk to your phone. You can talk to your phone. Sometimes when I'm bored, I talk to my phone in English. I ask my phone something, my phone answers. So that's practice, and that's something that we didn't have some years ago. It's something that people don't realize because
Mm-hmm.
people have like these traditional methods to speak to someone face to face. That's not necessarily true anymore. You can do that to a computer. There are many applications, free applications you can talk to, you can practice speaking to. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
they're free, and it's something that you can do to practice in your daily, daily, your everyday life.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to do it 1 hour, 2 hours. You can do it 5 minutes, 10 minutes. You can practice with these applications. Um, but yes, I agree. The best way is to find a speaking buddy, and
Yes.
because it's the more interaction that you have.
Right, right, absolutely. And in the membership, we have something called one-on-one conversations, and because there's professional people from different countries and different industry, which makes it interesting because we tend to look for people who have some similar things with us. Like I'm going to talk to another teacher, I'm going to talk to another engineer, I'm going to talk to another person from human resources. But you need to look for people from other industries so you can learn about different things and you can have really interesting conversations on things that you're not used to, right? So
Exactly.
looking for people who are kind of different is also really helpful.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And this is related to what I was talking about
Mm-hmm.
the being another person when you speak a second
Yes,
language. Because
I like that.
I usually don't like speaking to people, but
Mm-hmm.
when I was learning English, it was necessary to do it.
Yes,
So I found
absolutely.
it, like you said, I found it fulfilling because I was talking to people about things that they were not my forte.
Mm-hmm.
You learn a lot from that. You learn a lot from
Mm-hmm.
other people's experiences, other people's backgrounds. So you can try to force yourself to do it, especially at the beginning. Try to
Yes.
talk to people, even if you feel that you don't have anything in common.
Mm-hmm.
There's usually something to learn from that.
Absolutely, absolutely. I like this, having another, like personality. I like that. We can go deeper into that in our life. Okay,
Yes.
so what was a huge challenge from me initially is to switch from translating from my native language to English to think in English. I mean, guys, there's no secret to think in English. The point is that you have to speak so you can train your brain to think in English. You are not going to be like, oh, I woke up today and now I'm thinking in English. That doesn't happen. I mean, you need to speak and speak and speak and speak so it comes so natural to you that your brain makes no difference between your native and your target language. You see? So there's no secret. I mean, like, how can I think in English? Just speak. The
Yeah.
more you speak, the easier your brain will understand that it is natural, you see? And I have Laura, so nice to have you. Oh, long time no see. You tell me how things are going on in Mexico with your son and everything. We missed you in the speaking club. And Lorena is here. Lorena, Claudio. Lorena is another teacher. She says Siri and Google can be good partners to practice your speaking. Yay!
Yeah, that's true.
Absolutely. I totally agree. I totally agree. And if Siri or I don't know, Alexa or whatever, if they don't understand, it means that you have to tweak something in the pronunciation and then you repeat it and repeat it and repeat it until they get it.
Yeah. If they don't get it, it's because you're probably saying it wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. And remember, it's not only about pronunciation, but also intonation, and stress, word stress. It's not the same record and record, right? So those are little details that you have to practice little by little, of course.
Exactly.
Okay. Let me just read the last comment and then we continue. According to my point of view, main challenges in English communication, knowing the language but lacking the confidence. Yeah, while speaking and not being able to recollect the right word at the right time, and also not being able to speak fluently. And other than this, not being able to construct grammatically correct sentences. Yeah, I mean, confidence is extremely important. But you know what? If you speak, you gain confidence. If you start speaking, you gain confidence. I'm trying to learn French. And the more I try to speak, even if it is really short sentences, the more confident I feel because I'm like, oh, I can I can say short sentences and then I continue and I'm like, oh, now I can say this. And that gives you confidence. But that is practice.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and this is all related. Like the person that commented the thinking English.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to say, but it's not easy to do, and that's something
Yes.
that we teachers say. Like, well, you have to think in English, and like you said,
Mm-hmm.
it's not a magical switch that you
Mm-hmm.
have. It's something that happens, and like I told you, it's a process. It's something
Yes.
that starts in your mind. Like I told you, think about it, or think about it in English. Little
Mm-hmm.
things like the things that you have to do in the day, think about it in English. Do it this as a habit,
Mm-hmm.
and you will eventually do it automatically. So that's
Yes.
thinking in English, and that's gonna help
Mm-hmm.
your process of think in English. Speaking, like you said, speak to the applications, speak little things every day, little phrases. These things are gonna
Yes.
help you become motivated. You're gonna feel more confident because you're saying things even if you don't pronounce them all correctly, but you're
Mm-hmm.
saying them. You
Yeah.
can say them to a partner. You can say them to yourself. You can
Mm-hmm.
record yourself. You can put them online. You can write online.
Yes.
Um, that's writing. I mean, that's communication. That's something you can do to
Mm-hmm.
practice. These little things you can do every day. You don't have to be close in a book. You can do this by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
There's another comment that says about some portals that teach English.
Oh yes.
Yes, there are many websites that you can use to learn to practice. I
Mm-hmm.
recommend the free ones because it's a place to start. If you like it, well, you can pay or you can see if you can pay the website. But there are many
Mm-hmm.
websites for free. There are many things you can do for free on YouTube, on apps on your phone, on
Mm-hmm.
the famous ones. You know, the BBC, the British Council. They have like a lot of free materials. So
Mm-hmm.
yes, all of these things help if you like them. If you don't like them, they're not gonna help you. You have to find something that you like to be motivated.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, that's the
Absolutely.
key.
I love that you're saying all that because you're like validating, like what I say to my students all the time. So it's nice to have you here so they know that
You
I'm
need
not crazy.
you needed support.
Yes, exactly.
We
Um,
didn't plan
uh, Sorry?
that. We didn't plan it. I'm
No,
saying
we
it.
didn't. But
Yeah,
we come from the same school, so there's something there.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
What about, okay, regarding the websites? I mean, one thing, sorry for the background noise. One thing about independent learning is that you also have to learn to be, uh, I mean, to learn what works and what doesn't work, to check, I mean, to figure out if the website is, what you need, and if the information is, like appropriate to you and to your level. So when you're learning independently, whether you have a teacher or not, because some people say, I'm an independent learner because I don't have a teacher. That's absolutely no. I mean, you can have a teacher and you can also be an independent learner because the responsibility is not only on the teacher but on you as a student.
Yeah.
So when you are an independent learner, you have to learn to recognize the materials that are useful for you and the materials that are not, the ones that are interesting, or the ones that are, like the ones that you can trust, because there's a lot of information out there. And sometimes there's so much that you really don't know how to focus and concentrate. So you have to filter all that information and just stay with the things that are interesting and that are relevant to you.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
Let,
independent learning is not like speaking to yourself all the time. It's doing,
yes.
finding materials for yourself,
Mm-hmm.
using things that are helpful for your career, for your profession, for your
Mm-hmm.
developing of the language. Um, and that's something that I encourage people to do. Like I tell them, like, well, use topics that you find interesting, not only from your
Mm-hmm.
job,
Yeah.
but things that you can actually that you do them without feeling like it's an obligation. That's the
Yes.
that's one of the starting points. But
Yes.
it's not easy, like I said, like it's
Mm-hmm.
easier said than done.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah,
You have to follow your gut feeling. You know your gut feeling? Like if it makes you feel, like good, then go for it. Through
yeah,
one-on-one, we enrich our conversation because we work for different industries, and even different level between us help us too much. Yes, it is great when we are in different levels because, yeah, I mean, unconsciously, if the person is a little lower, has a little lower level than you have, you will kind of correct them, unconsciously in your mind. And when the person has a higher level, it's great because you learn vocabulary and then and you learn structures. So when you're in a big community where you have different levels, that's great. But we are going to talk about levels later, right, Claudio? When you're in a
yeah,
group or something, it is something different. And
yeah,
here I think the comment here is from Maria. I'm pretty sure this is Maria. The thing is that I cannot see her picture. It says Facebook user, but I'm sure it's Maria. Super segmentals are very useful for students. They become aware of why stress, rhythm, and intonation are important when they use the language. Yeah, it's not only about grammar and vocabulary, okay? It's about stress, musicality, how the language sounds, right? About the intention, the tone. There are many things.
yeah. Listening, well, the best thing you could, I mean, the traditional courses teach us like grammar, vocabulary, but like we said
Hmm.
from the beginning, there are many things you as a student can do. And
Yes.
one of those things is like you mentioned, is listening, having the things in your mind, like all the vocabulary, all the words in your mind.
Hmm.
Those are listening
Yes.
and reading. You receive all that information.
Input. Hmm.
Exactly. And eventually, well, you have to express them. You have to say them. If you don't say them, well, eventually you forget. So it's important that you receive a lot of information. Reading and listening is very important in your everyday. Um,
Hmm.
and yes, later, don't focus only on oh my accent or I sound very Latin or very
Yes.
foreign. Is
Hmm.
the stress and intonation help a lot. The use of idioms, the use of
Hmm.
phrases help a lot to tell the other person that you really know the language.
Okay. 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 Great. 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 Oh, it says it's the it's Daniel. I'm sorry, it's Daniel Rodriguez. Danny, so nice to have you here. He's from the IPC too, from Pedagogico too.
Yeah,
Danny, the point is that this streaming is going live on LinkedIn and is going live on Facebook and YouTube simultaneously. So I'm sure that you are on Facebook and not on LinkedIn. So that's why it says Facebook user. But so nice to have you. It's
he
amazing to
does.
have you. You see, he's another teacher.
He doesn't want to show his face.
Yes. But now I know who you are. Okay, Danny,
Yeah.
thank you so much for being here, validating, everything we're sharing, we're saying. Okay, what else? Claudia, is there
Um,
anything else?
yeah, the last point that you mentioned, and well, I think it was Claudia Diaz who mentioned that the
Mm-hmm.
level of the student. As teachers, we know this. It can be a problem when you have a mixed level class. It can be difficult to manage because sometimes students are like
Mm-hmm.
very different levels. Um, as a student, it's also like it can be difficult because if you are like in a high level and you are with all your classmates at low level, you're gonna feel this. You're not gonna feel motivated.
Absolutely.
You can get frustrated,
Mm-hmm.
and yes, it's nice. I mean, it depends. It depends on you, on your goals.
Mm-hmm.
But as students, the best thing you can do, well, like you said, is to try to see the upside, help other people, try to explain things. And when you explain
Mm-hmm.
things, you are practicing and you're learning too. You're putting the
Absolutely.
things that you know into practice.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if you are the teacher, well, the teacher has to manage the students that are different levels with
Mm-hmm.
different activities. Sometimes it happens that well, teachers we have to prepare extra activities for these students that are like in a higher level.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's great. If you, for example, if you are in a class and you feel like your level is higher, you can talk to the teacher. It has
Yeah.
happened to me. Students told me like, hey, I feel like I'm in another level,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes I talk to them and I move them to other level. I say, like, well, yes, you can go to the next one. I think you're prepared. And if
Mm-hmm.
not, well, you prepare some extra students, you send them extra materials,
Exactly.
and that helps
Mm-hmm.
them. But if you don't find like the help that you need from the teacher, well, you can do it yourself. See the upsides of the situation,
Mm-hmm.
and well, be an independent student.
Yes, absolutely. Now we have to trust. I mean, because sometimes we overestimate our level and sometimes we underestimate it, so sometimes we're like, I'm an advanced but we are not, or I'm a beginner but we are not. So that's why placement tests, like, in quotations, are useful, because you can have a general idea of your level, and then you can be like, I don't feel I'm learning or I'm getting much from here, so let's see if I can move, I can advance, I can move forward. Great. Let me see if there's anything else. Now, regarding challenges, I mean, in my case, was the fact that, well, we haven't lived abroad. Well, I haven't. I mean, in an English speaking country. So, obviously, at the beginning, it was one of the challenges that I didn't, and when I learned, I didn't have YouTube, you know, and I didn't have all these apps to learn and to practice. But now you guys do. So, I think it is all a matter of prioritizing and making that commitment to learn. And that's it. I mean, if you're committed, if you're prioritizing your English learning, then you will improve, you know. But if it
Yeah,
is not a priority to you, then you will not, right? Because whatever you put time on, whatever you focus on, expands. So if you focus on pronunciation, you will improve your pronunciation. If you focus on vocabulary, you will improve your vocabulary. But if you don't focus on anything in particular and you're just randomly watching videos, then nothing is going to happen. So I think prioritizing is important.
yeah, that's something that I don't know. Well, in my case, I do it. Like I ask usually the first classes. I ask the students like, why do you want to learn English? And
Yes.
many people, I would say the majority of people don't know how to answer. Like they're like, what? Why are you asking me this?
Yes.
Um, that's something that well you have to know why you're learning. You learn because I want to
Hmm.
learn the language. But yes, but what do you want to learn? You want to become bilingual. It's for your job,
Yes.
for your studies.
Hmm.
You need to practice for an interview. I mean, what
Hmm.
are the reasons?
Yeah.
And that's something that many people don't expect that question. And sometimes we don't think about it like, why am I learning? If you're learning for an obligation, like you said, your motivation is going to be diminished. So
Yes.
you need to work on
Absolutely.
that. Well, no, you need to focus on your goal. Yes, I need to do this because I need to get that promotion. I need to do this because I need to get that into that university. So thinking about your goals, your final goal, like why are you learning, is also very important. That's gonna help you
Hmm.
in your motivation. That's gonna help you become confident. It's gonna help you in your learning.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Totally agree. Totally agree. Okay, let me see. So I think we can kind of. I'm going to read some of the things that they wrote in the group, in the membership group, and then we can give them some advice, some suggestions, and I think we can, like wrap up with that.
Yeah.
Guys, if you're watching, let us know if you have any question, any doubts. I know some of the things that we're discussing here, you have heard them before, like prioritize your English, but that's what you have to do. I mean, there's no secret. It's just about focus. So it is okay if you listen to it several times because then you're going to, digest that information. So let me read a little bit the challenges again so we can give them some feedback and that will be it. Okay.
Great.
So here we have, okay, again, so to switch my actual local language into English habits. So I suppose it's like using English on a daily basis, right? Like, because we don't live in an English speaking country, we need to make it, I mean, we need to prepare our environment so you can use English as often as possible, right?
Yeah. I don't know if it happened to you. Like sometimes people ask me, like, "Hey, where do you learn English?" And I say, "Well,
Yes.
here in Venezuela." Um, but like I told you, the things I was young, everything I used was in English. The
Mm-hmm.
reading materials, listening materials, everything I use, television, the phone, everything.
Yes.
Little things like that help you in the long run.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
like I told you, you don't have to be like 1 hour practice. Little things like this. Change your
Yeah.
phone in English. Change your TV.
Mhm.
Change the series that you watch. Do everything in English. It's gonna help you a lot.
Yes. Absolutely. And you know what? Being intentional. I mean, if you really want to practice watching, I don't know, YouTube videos, then be intentional. I mean, really focus. Watch the video several times, take the vocabulary, repeat,
Yeah,
practice shadowing, like repeating the intonation and the musicality that the person is using. I love doing that with friends, with
yeah,
a
yeah,
TV series. So be intentional. Whatever you're doing, be intentional about it. And some of the things I will share that later is create a plan. Okay. But we can talk about that at the end to conclude. Another is careless attitude to remember grammar. Some people, I don't know what you think about this, Claudia, but it is fun to me when people say, oh, you're going to be fluent in 3 months without learning any grammar.
yeah. Sure.
I mean, really? I mean, you're going to learn how to prepare a cake without following some steps before and using a specific, ingredients. And I mean, that makes no sense, right?
Yeah, yeah. Like grammar is the base. Is the ideal is not to focus too much on it, but not to
Absolutely.
also like make it disappear. It's
Mm-hmm.
um it's a little thing 50-50 situation. Maybe it depends. You don't have
Yes,
to know everything. Many people focus like in the wrong things. Like I'm going to learn passive voice. I say, but why are you learning passive voice?
exactly. Why?
Start
And
with the
they get
basics.
frustrated.
Yeah, start with the things that you use. Like, oh, I need English for my job. Well, start with greetings, vocabulary from the office.
Hmm.
You don't need to learn past perfect at the moment. You can learn
Exactly.
it later. Um, that's something you can do, and yes, the grammar is necessary. I don't think that all the grammar is necessary,
Hmm.
but like I told you, like if you have a goal, start with that. Like you need
Yes.
to learn for something specific, or you can start learning for that.
Yes.
Um, and don't think too much about grammar, like because we don't think about I'm gonna think in past simple. No, the basics are great, but also you need to
Hmm.
apply them. You need to use them in your speech. If you
Yeah.
don't include that grammar point in your speech, you forget.
Hmm.
So grammar
Absolutely.
is important, but it's not everything. And yes, you need
It's
it.
not. Hmm. But
You're
you
not gonna
will
learn
need
English.
it. Yeah,
Yes,
but you will need it, but it shouldn't be a priority. And it depends on your interests, you know? It
exactly.
depends on your interests. Some people just want to prepare for something in particular. Go for it. I mean, you don't have to learn everything You just have to learn the things that you need. Pareto Principle, exactly, 80-20. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, what would you recommend if a student is not committed? Or, I mean, if a student is not committed, don't teach them, period. I mean, that's my perspective. When I offer the business program, the first thing that I do is that I interview them. And I'm like, are you willing to study twice a week? Are you willing to do this and that? And if they are like, well, I don't know, because, okay, so this is not for you, period. I mean, if the person is not committed, they are not going to learn.
Yeah.
So if you want, you can go deeper. And if you're really interested, just go deeper and talk to the person. Like, okay, why are you doing this? Why is your motivation? What's going to be different after you learn how to communicate effectively, right? So they can realize the real reason why they are doing this, so then they can commit. But if they are not committed since the very beginning, what can you do? you know so I think we just have to help them realize the real reason, and if they don't have any, then there's no point you know
Yeah, like I told you, like some people like they tell you like, no, I want to learn English. I said, but why? Because
Exactly.
I want to learn. I said yes, I want to learn Japanese, but I'm
Yeah, I want to
yeah,
learn German too.
exactly. So and if they're paying, I mean, they need to see their money's worth, right? So it's
Absolutely.
it's important. I mean, if they're not committed, it's difficult. We sometimes we
Yes.
play the therapist and we ask them all these questions. We ask them like, hey, but why? I mean, tell me about it.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it helps. You try to give them things like I told you, things that they like to make them
Mm-hmm.
a little bit more committed or motivated. Sometimes they
Yes.
tell you like, no, I don't like this activity, so I don't do this activity anymore. So
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it's a process. Sometimes at the beginning maybe they don't like it much, but then the teacher starts to try to find activities
Mm-hmm.
or topics that they like. But again,
Absolutely.
it's difficult. If a person doesn't want to learn, they're not going to learn.
They are not. Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, if you don't feel that you're going to get something out of it, you won't do it because you will feel like you're wasting your time, you're wasting your money. So, and that happens to all of us when we get into the intermediate plateau, that we're like, I'm doing all this effort, and then you feel like frustrated because you feel you're not improving, and then you have to go back to your why. That's it. Why am I doing this? Sometimes I ask them, okay, imagine you take the program today, and how do you see yourself, or what would you like to happen in 5, 6, or 7 months? How do you see yourself? What is it that you want? Why do you want to communicate effectively? And then that is the reason. And that's why they have to remind themselves every now and then, because it's hard. I mean, when you're being challenged, it's hard to continue committed.
Yeah,
And if they don't have time to study, I mean, we all have 10 minutes a day. I know it's hard. It is hard for me. I'm not good at French because I think I don't have time. But again, it is a matter of prioritizing, and planning. I mean,
yeah,
everyone got 10 minutes at least, 15 minutes at least to
yeah. And it's the
check,
same.
to
You
practice.
ask exactly time. You can find time. You can find also
Yes.
excuses.
Right.
So instead of finding excuses, we can find more time.
Yeah.
It's like the same, like I told you, like when you ask them why they want to learn English, and then you ask them like, but how much time do you have available? No, I don't have any time. So how are you planning to learn a language
Right.
if you don't have time?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. This is why you have to prioritize. I mean, I need to learn because I want to get a job in another country. How long are you going to prepare for that? How long are you going to wait? Right? So you have to prioritize. It's like sacrifices. You have to sacrifice watching Netflix so you can get a better job, so you can have more free time to watch Netflix, right?
yeah.
So it's prioritizing. Danny, is that you who asked this question? Let us know, and
And that,
and we can talk to your student. Don't worry.
yeah, we can convince him.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, I don't know. Let me see if there's anything else, guys. If there's anything you would like to share here, let me know. I'm going to read a comment from one of the members. He was talking about planning. Okay, he's Danilo. I'm going to read that because it is important. I think he wrote that earlier today. Let me see if I can find the message. So one of the challenges is time, right? But if you have time to, I don't know, cook, then you can listen to a podcast while cooking, right?
Yeah,
You can listen to a podcast while commuting.
yeah. But those are the things that people don't realize. Like those little things are practice.
Mm-hmm.
Watching your TV show, but watch it in English. I mean, you're not
Yes.
going, and like you said, don't do it one time. Do it repeatedly. If you do it one time, if you watch your favorite movie one time, well, that's it. But if you want to really learn from the movie, you need to rewatch it. Same, same
Yes.
thing with your TV shows. Watch them or watch.
Mm-hmm.
Those are little things that you can do to learn. Maybe you don't have time, but you can. If you watch, you do something, do it in English. The
Mm-hmm.
radio you like to listen when you're traveling to work or something, put it in have the radio in English. Those
Mm-hmm.
are little things you can do, and they're gonna help you little by little. They're gonna help you.
Yes.
Reading,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, reading. If you like reading, don't do it in English. And again, you don't
Yes.
have to read the whole book. You can read articles, read
Yeah.
websites. You don't have
Mm-hmm.
to sit and read Shakespeare. No, you can read some news. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep,
Yeah,
yep, yep.
little things.
Little things, exactly. I don't know if you read this, Atomic Habits and all this, James Clear book, whatever. But the principle is that 1% better. I mean, you don't have to be 1,000,000% better. You don't have to read 3 articles per day. It's 1% better. I mean, just by doing something little,
Yeah,
every day, that will keep you motivated, right?
yeah. It's similar when you start when you exercise. The beginning is the
Yes.
hardest. You need to
Yeah.
find the time. You need to do it. You need to take the time to do it. You don't
Mm-hmm.
exercise in 5 minutes.
No,
So
at all.
learning learning languages is similar. The hardest part is
Mm-hmm.
the beginning, and well,
Yes.
then also it's hard to keep motivated.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's like exercising. If you don't do it, well, it's gonna be difficult. You have to do it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Look at this. Carla, so nice to have you. Fernando, so nice. Federico, so nice to have you. Hope to see you in the speaking club. You have missed some sessions. Okay, let me see if I can find the comment and I will share it here. So we have to, we have to kind of make things work for us. It's not easy, but we can
Yeah,
make it work. All right. And we have to focus and prioritize. Okay, this is the comment of one of the members. And he says, I believe one of the most powerful tools, let me see if I can put it here so you can read it. Okay. I believe one of the most powerful tools you can implement is creating your study plan and sticking to it. Looking for that 20% that will give you the 80% of results. This is what the Pareto Principle, okay, we were talking about before, Lorena was mentioning before. Once you kind of master a point, you can cross it and go to the next one. Obviously, you have to do something. Study, practice. Being here is great. I mean, he's talking about the WhatsApp group. At least you can practice writing or texting. But if you don't establish and stick to your plan, this is just going to be another group in your WhatsApp list. And what else? I think that's it in your WhatsApp list. Join the conversations on Saturdays, do your homework, share your tips and resources, etc. So you have to be intentional.
yeah,
You see? You have to be intentional on whatever you're planning to do. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. You have to know why you're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we that plan, that comment. I mean, I don't. It depends on the person.
Yes,
We
of
are telling
course.
like different perspectives. For
Mm-hmm.
example, in my case, I don't work with plans. I'm not like I'm gonna do this. Um, I can see why, or I can see people using it, but it depends on you, the way that you learn.
Yes,
If you're not that methodical, well, use your own approach. But again, some people don't know what's their
absolutely.
approach, and that's why we go
Absolutely.
back to the question like, why are you learning English?
Mm-hmm.
How do you like learning? Some people don't know
Yes.
how to answer those questions. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why, I don't know how I learn. So you have to know how you learn. Um,
Mm-hmm.
this is something that happens to me a lot with when I'm teaching present perfect and I'm teaching regular verbs.
Uh-huh.
Um, because I'm terrible that I have a terrible memory, so I don't memorize. I don't like memorizing or making lists. But I have students
Mm-hmm.
that they love making lists and they remember the list and they have this
Yes.
gigantic list. And it's great. It's the way they learn. I mean, I'm not going to tell them, oh, that's incorrect. Because that's the way they like learning. I mean, I cannot say that, oh,
Exactly.
that's not the way I learn. That's why it's important that you, as students, know
Mm-hmm.
what things you like, the way that you learn, the things that work for you. That's why I told you,
Absolutely.
if you don't like reading, well, don't read. But you need to read something. Don't read a
Exactly.
500 pages book, but read something small. Or
Mm-hmm.
now, well, we have technology. You can have the websites. They can read the page for you. And that's simple. You're receiving information.
Mm-hmm.
But find a
You,
way for you.
yeah. You can get a book and you can get the audio book and then you read and listen at the same time. That's what I do. That's how I read Atomic Habits. I had the book and I also had the audio book and I just hit play and start listening and reading at the same time. And that's
Exactly.
great. I mean, you have to figure out what works for you, you know?
Yeah. And it's a process. It's not, if you don't know it, well, it's going to take some time for you to know what you like, how you like learning.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and sometimes the students tell you, no, I don't like reading, so I don't do any activities, reading activities
Exactly.
for them, and I have to do other things. But it's
Mm-hmm.
important that you know that.
Mm-hmm.
If not, it's gonna be again, you're gonna become demotivated, you're gonna get
Yes.
frustrated, you're gonna quit, and of course, you're gonna blame the teacher.
Yes, exactly. And you're going to, you know, that's not going to be a good investment, right?
Yeah, you're gonna
That's
wait
not
from
the idea. We want a win-win situation.
exactly.
Awesome. Great. I don't know, guys, if there's any other question, anything else that you would like to share or ask. We're here, teachers just chatting and not we're talking like I mean this conversation is we're teachers but we're learning we are speaking as English learners too because we went through this process too and we know how hard it is. Okay, so and we were motivated to learn and that's why we learned. So now that I remember Danielle's message, like what do you do if the person is not committed? I mean, I was committed and I was motivated and that's why I learned. um but if you're not learning, it's like if you're not interested in something in particular, you're not going to learn or improve on that if there's no interest. So,
Exactly. We go back to the topic of the exercise. If you don't like exercising, it's gonna be
yes,
harder. So
yes,
think about I don't like exercising, but I have to do it. So I think about like my goal, like why do I want to do it?
mm-hmm.
Well, because if I stop now, it's gonna be more difficult later.
Yes,
Think about that. Like if you're not committed, well, think about why are you doing. What are the reasons you're doing that? And
mm-hmm.
think about it constantly because if you forget or if you don't do it, it's easy to find an excuse. No, I don't want to do it anymore. I have to work.
Yeah,
I don't have time.
yes,
Um, after if you quit at the moment, well, it's gonna be more difficult later.
mm-hmm.
So languages, we forget languages. So if you stop practicing, and that's it, you forget.
Yep. Absolutely. I absolutely agree. Well, I don't know. Is there anything else, Claudia, that you would like to share with us here, with our community, with your community?
Well, you can follow me on social
Of
media.
course.
I share a lot of tips and things on LinkedIn, on Instagram too.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we try to help people. Some people maybe don't see it. I follow
Yes.
many of my students follow me on WhatsApp. I usually post crazy, funny things over there, and
That's
it's
the
part of
best
the
way to learn, actually, with memes. I love learning with memes, you know?
yeah. Well, not everybody likes it, but
Yeah, exactly.
again,
Uh,
if you don't like it, well, you don't do it, right?
there you are, right? It is easier to get the things that you don't like and avoid them than getting like, oh, I like this and I'm going to continue working on it. So start by avoiding the things that you don't like, period. You
Yeah.
see?
You don't like grammar? Well, find a way to learn grammar, but maybe not in the traditional way.
Yes, I
Um,
agree.
you don't have a person to speak, a partner to practice. Well, like we
Mm-hmm.
mentioned, there are many apps,
Yep.
many websites you can use now.
Mm-hmm.
So again, excuses there are many, but the commitment it's your part. You have to do it.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Here, I mean, in the comments, I shared the link to your LinkedIn profile and the link to Segment. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Cement.
Cement. Can you tell us
Yes.
a little bit about that? I'm going to share the
Um.
screen. Wait, wait, wait.
Thank
Wait,
you.
wait, wait. So people can see it and then you tell us a little about that.
Great. Oh, yeah, like I said, you can follow me on social media and LinkedIn. I usually share things for. I have many students there, so they usually tell me like they like you know they learn things from that. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
um, you don't have to pay; it's for free. I share these materials. Um, I share these experiences. Like I like people learning. I like people to learn from the experience that we have. Like you said, like we have a similar background. We were students also, or we continue being
Mm-hmm.
students. We learn every day, so it's something you can get. You can take something from that, from those things that
Okay.
we share. And my project, a month, we're
Mm-hmm.
working classes more like individual classes, maybe not individual, but more detail, more in a specific for people.
Okay.
We, we have classes individual, we have classes with groups, but we do this. It's not a test, but it's a needs analysis. We ask people what they
Yes.
want, and we make the classes for them. If they want a conversation class, well, we create a conversation class. If they want a grammar class, well, we made a grammar class. So it
Okay.
depends on what the students want. So we create these very VIP classes, VIP lessons,
Mm-hmm.
and yes, that's why it's important the initial process. Like, what do you want to learn? What are your expectations? How much time do you have? All those things,
Yes.
and we prepare a course based on that. And in this project in Semant, um,
Cement.
we share many things also in social media. We can follow in Instagram, LinkedIn, or Facebook. We share many content that you may find useful. That's the idea. That we try to help people, and well, if they like it, well, they can pay the class.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, we have to invest, you know? If you want to improve, you need to invest, period. I mean, things are free. There's a lot of free information out there, but you will waste a lot of time too, you know. And
Yeah,
I'm looking for a French teacher because if I continue going online, there's so much information that I will continue wasting time. So if
exactly.
you want to save time, you have to invest, you know, and we're clear on that. If you want to focus, you have to invest, period. Okay, because then you will have guidance, you will have a plan, you will have uh, organized content, tailored content, etc. Okay, so no doubts. I just share, I cannot share my screen, but I just share the link here in the comments so everyone can join you there.
Thank you.
And that's it. Thank you so, so much. I'm so excited about this live conversation as teachers and as students and as, classmates we were. So it's amazing. I absolutely, um, I absolutely appreciate it. Oh, look at this, Carla. If you want to improve, you have to invest. Yeah,
Yes,
that's it. That's it. It
it's
is.
gonna
It is.
be it's gonna be the cover of your book.
Yes. Improving, investing, not improvement without investment. Absolutely. And that you can apply that to everything.
Yes,
Like
definitely.
whether like whatever. I mean, whatever you want to improve, you have to make an investment so you can save time. You know, I love that.
Yeah. No,
Claudia,
well,
thank you so
thank
so
thank
much.
you for the opportunity, and thanks to the people who participated. I hope that we, at least our experiences, help you a little, give you, some suggestions. Um, yeah, that's it. Continue doing it. I mean, don't stop now. And if you're not
Mm-hmm.
learning English, well, you can start now.
Mm-hmm. Don't
Yeah,
stop me now. Yeah, don't stop.
exactly.
Don't stop. I mean, it is hard. We get that. It is frustrating sometimes. We get that. But you have to go on. We did. You've been doing so. I mean, it is absolutely possible.
Yeah,
This is Danielle. Prioritize your needs and know why you're learning. Exactly. That's how we can conclude Claudia's, Jennifer, invest of money and time. Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. It is an
That's
investment.
my partner.
Great. Awesome. Jennifer, so nice
Yeah,
to have you here. I'm going to share her profile too in the comments just in case people are interested in looking for you guys and learning from your content. I've seen her content, her videos, and yours,
yeah,
and that's motivating because I know I have to do more of that. But well,
yeah. It's funny because we're doing this content, and yes, it's to catch the attention, right? But we are not
yeah.
charging for it on
Mm-hmm.
social media. You can watch it for free, right?
Yes.
People are interested and people pay the course, but some people comments like they say like negative things like, "Oh, you're not paying for this. If you don't like it, don't watch it."
Exactly. Right? Period.
Yeah, I mean, we
So
like it.
easy.
We do it because we like it, and we can help people, and well,
Yes.
and it's our experience, so it's there on social media.
Mm-hmm.
You can watch it, and well, hopefully, we'll help a lot of people. But there's
Mm-hmm.
always like other people like, what's happening?
But that's okay. That's
Yeah, it
okay.
happens. It
That's
happens.
okay.
That's the way it is.
Awesome. Okay, well, Claudia, thank you so, so much. I hope we can
Thank
go
you.
live anytime soon.
Yeah,
I love these, real life conversations on our experiences, our students' experiences, which were our experiences too.
yeah,
So, yeah, I don't know. Guys, if you leave any comments later, I will, reach out to Claudio so we can answer if you have any other questions. Remember to join our accounts on LinkedIn, my free speaking club, so you can practice with us on Saturdays. And if you have questions, let us know. Okay?
yeah.
Thank you so much, Claudia, for being here.
Thank you,
I
and see
appreciate it.
you. Hopefully, see you next time.
Absolutely. Absolutely.